Suya, what are you still standing there for? Xiaoyan just gave birth. Hurry to the kitchen and make some chicken soup. My mother-in-law, Wang Zuihua, had a sharp voice that pierced my eardrums like a knife. I opened my eyes and looked at the familiar earthen walls and thatched cottage before me, a strong sense of déjà vu washing over me. It was the spring of 1975, and I had returned to this moment that had once brought me so much pain. In my past life, I gave my all for this family. When my sister-in-law, Su Xiaoyan, was having her baby, I attended to her every need from her 7th month of pregnancy, doing all the laundry and cooking. As a result, I went into premature labor and nearly died from a difficult birth, and my own child was born weak and sickly. And what about Su Xiaoyan? When I was in confinement, not only did she not help, but she made me wash her diapers every day, saying things like, "A sister-in-law should take care of her husband's younger sister." The most infuriating part is my husband, Gu Taijun, that regiment commander who acts so imposing in front of others but is a complete mama's boy at home. Every time I had a conflict with my mother-in-law, he always took her side. In my past life, to maintain harmony in this family, I endured humiliation for 20 years, only to be schemed against by my sister-in-law's family in the end, losing the opportunity to be assigned a job in the city. What's worse? All the money I worked so hard to save was taken by them to buy a house for Su Xiaoyan's son, while my own son couldn't even afford his tuition fees. At the age of 50, I suffered a sudden myocardial infarction from overwork. The last words I heard before I died were Su Xiaoyan saying to her son, "It's just as well that your aunt is dead. This house is ours now. In this life, I will never be this family's free nanny again." Suya, are you deaf? Wang Zuihua stomped her feet in anger when she saw me sitting on the bed in a daze. Xiao Yan just gave birth and needs to nourish her body. As her sister-in-law, why aren't you hurrying to the kitchen? I slowly stood up and looked at her expressionlessly. Mom, I had a high fever last night and still feel very dizzy. I'm afraid it might be contagious. If I go take care of Xiao Yan now, I might pass the illness to her and the baby, and that wouldn't be good. Wang Zuihua was taken aback for a moment, then grew furious out of embarrassment. What nonsense are you talking? You're just being lazy. Then you come and feel my forehead yourself to see if I have a fever. I reached out my hand, but I heard from the village's barefoot doctor that this kind of fever is likely the flu, and it's highly contagious. Wang Zuihua instinctively took a step back, a look of fear on her face. These days, medical conditions are poor, and what people fear most is infectious diseases. A couple of years ago, several people in the neighboring village died from the flu, and Wang Zuihua knew it very well. Then you just stay inside the house, don't come out, Wang Zuihua said through gritted teeth. We'll wait until Taijun comes back. I nodded and said, all right, then I'll trouble you, dear elder, to personally take care of Xiaoyan. After all, she is your own daughter, so you'll naturally be more attentive. Wang Zuihua's face instantly darkened. Su Xiaoyan had married into the neighboring village but came back to her parents' home specifically to give birth and recover, all so that I, as her sister-in-law, would serve her. As her mother, Wang Zuihua had no intention of dealing with her daughter's dirty work, but now that I had brought up the excuse of an infectious disease, she didn't dare take the risk. You're just trying to slack off. Wang Zuihua trembled with anger, but in the end, she could only storm off in a huff. As soon as she left, I immediately rummaged through the wooden box by the bed and pulled out a small cloth pouch. Inside were the experiences I had exchanged with my life in my previous existence, 80 yuan, and a few industrial coupons. In my past life, I had hidden this money so well that it was never discovered until my death. In this life, this money would be my capital to start over. I carefully put the money away and then lay back in bed, pretending to be sick. Not long after, I could hear Wang Zuihua coaxing the child in the next room, mixed with Su Xiaoyan's impatient complaint. Mom, my stomach hurts, pour me a cup of brown sugar water, I'll go boil the water right away, Wang Zuihua hurriedly responded, and also, I want to eat steamed egg custard, the kind that's really tender. All right, I'll make it right away, Mom. Listening to the sound of Wang Zuihua bustling back and forth, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a cold smile. I used to be the one taking care of Su Xiaoyan, while Wang Zuihua reaped the benefits without lifting a finger. now that she has to do it herself, let's see how long she can keep up the act. Sure enough, within 2 hours, Wang Zuihua was panting and exhausted. Su Xiaoyan kept making one demand after another, wanting fish soup one moment and millet porridge the next. As reluctant as she was, Wang Zuihua, being the mother, had no choice but to grit her teeth and serve her. By the afternoon, Wang Zuihua couldn't take it anymore and came to my door to test the waters. Yaya, how are you feeling now? I replied weakly, still feeling awful. I just threw up again. Mom, please don't come in. This illness is highly contagious. Wang Zuihua's expression changed, and she quickly stepped back. Well, then you should rest well. In fact, I knew very well that Wang Zuihua had long suspected I was faking my illness. But she didn't dare to take the risk. If I really had a contagious disease and passed it on to Su Xiaoyan and her child, it could be a matter of life and death. By evening, Gu Taijun returned, covered in dust and looking weary. He was tall, dressed in a military uniform, and exuded the unique authority of a soldier. In my past life, I would always get extremely excited whenever I saw him return, feeling that he was my support, but now, I only find it ironic. This man appears imposing on the surface, but in reality, he's a mama's boy with no backbone. He can command thousands outside, but at home, he's completely at his mother's beck and call. Yaya, I heard you're sick. Gu Taijun walked into the room, frowning as he looked at me. I nodded weakly. Yeah, I've had a fever since last night and have been throwing up all day. Gu Taijun reached out to touch my forehead, but I immediately pulled back. Don't touch me, this illness is contagious. What if you get infected and it affects your work? Gu Taijun's hand froze in midair, a flicker of complex emotion passing through his eyes. At that moment, Wang Zuihua called from outside. Taijun, come out for a moment, I have something to say to you. Gu Taijun glanced at me, then turned and walked out. Through the thin wall, I clearly heard Wang Zuihua complaining outside. Taijun, your wife is doing this on purpose. When Xiaoyan gave birth, she pretended to be sick. Isn't this a deliberate attempt to avoid taking care of her sister-in-law? Mom, Yaya really has a fever. I just touched her, and her hands are very hot. Gu Taijun's voice sounded somewhat weary. What's the big deal about a fever? When I gave birth to you, I was working in the fields with a high fever. Young people these days are just too delicate. Wang Zuihua grew more and more agitated as she spoke. Look at Xiaoyan. She was able to get out of bed by herself the day after giving birth. She's nothing like this drama queen. Listening to their conversation, the anger in my heart burned hotter and hotter. In my past life, I gave everything for this family, only to be met with such judgment. In this life, I will never wrong myself again. Chapter 2. Early the next morning, I heard Wang Zuihua bustling around in the kitchen, clattering and clanging, while muttering incessantly. What kind of world is this? A daughter-in-law pretending to be sick and not doing any work, and the mother has to personally take care of her own daughter. I threw off the covers, got out of bed, and walked energetically into the yard. Wang Zuihua was carrying a bowl of millet porridge towards Su Xiaoyan's room and froze when she saw me. Weren't you sick? I broke into a sweat last night, so I'm feeling much better today. I deliberately stretched lazily. It feels so good to have slept for so long. Wang Zuihua's face turned green with anger. You said it was contagious just yesterday. Oh, I remember now. The village barefoot doctor said that if you sweat a lot overnight and get better, it's not the flu, just a common cold. I said with an innocent look. I did sweat a lot last night. My blanket was soaked through. Wang Zuihua was so angry she couldn't speak. She had worked hard all day yesterday, her back and legs aching from exhaustion, only for me to say I was fine now. Since you're better, hurry up and go help in the kitchen, Wang Zuihua said through gritted teeth. I shook my head. Mom, although the fever has subsided, my body is still very weak. The doctor said that in this condition, I shouldn't overexert myself, or it could easily relapse. Wang Zuihua's hands trembled with anger. At that moment, Su Xiaoyan called out from the room. Mom, why hasn't the porridge been brought yet? I'm hungry. Wang Zuihua had no choice but to suppress her anger and go attend to her daughter. I was leisurely basking in the sun in the yard, feeling an indescribable sense of comfort. In my previous life, I was still washing Su Xiaoyan's diapers when I was 7 months pregnant, but in this life, It's Wang Zuihua's turn to do it herself. At noon, Gu Taijun came back from the army for lunch. Seeing me sitting idly in the yard, he frowned and said, "Yaya, since you've recovered from your illness, why aren't you helping out?" I looked up at him and replied calmly, "I haven't fully recovered yet and shouldn't overexert myself." "What kind of excuse is that? Xiaoyan just gave birth and needs someone to take care of her." Gu Tiejun's voice rose a few notches. "Then she has her mother to take care of her." I continued sitting still. "Besides, I'm not her mother. Why should I be the one to serve her during her postpartum confinement?" Gu Taijun was stunned. In his impression, I had always been gentle and virtuous, never saying such things. "Yaya, Xiaoyan is my sister, and you are my wife. Taking care of Xiaoyan is only right." Gu Taijun tried to persuade me. I sneered. "Right? Who says so? She's your sister, not mine. How did you become like this?" Gu Taijun frowned as he looked at me. "You weren't like this before. The past is the past, and the present is the present." I stood up and looked him straight in the eyes. "Gu Taijun, let me tell you, starting today, I won't be this family's free nanny anymore. Everyone can take care of their own business, including your mother." Gu Taijun was shocked by my words. He had never expected me to talk back to him like this. At that moment, Wang Zuihua rushed out of the kitchen, pointing at my nose and yelling, "Suya, do you think you've grown wings? How dare you talk to my son like that?" "What's wrong with the way I speak?" I said without changing my expression. "I'm just expressing my opinion." "Opinion?" Wang Zuihua trembled with anger. "You, a daughter-in-law, dare to have an opinion? Let me tell you, in this house, you have to listen to me." I looked at her coldly. "Mom, didn't you always say you're in good health and will live to be 90? Then taking care of your daughter during her postpartum confinement should be a piece of cake for you." What do you mean by that?" Wang Zuihua sensed the sarcasm in my words. "I mean, you're so capable that you don't need my help at all." I smiled sweetly, but my eyes were icy cold. "Besides, taking care of your daughter yourself would better reflect the deep bond between mother and daughter, wouldn't it?" Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my retort. Gu Taijun watched the tense standoff between his mother and me, feeling a splitting headache. "Enough, stop arguing, both of you. Taijun, look at your wife. She has no sense of propriety at all." Wang Zuihua immediately complained to her son. Gu Taijun turned to me, his tone stern. "Yaya, come inside with me. I have something to say to you." I followed him into the room without a trace of fear. Gu Taijun closed the door, his face darkening as he said, "Yaya, what's gotten into you today? Why did you talk back to Mom?" "I didn't talk back to her. I was just stating the facts," I said calmly. "Your sister gave birth, and it's only natural for her own mother to take care of her. Why should I, an outsider, have to serve her?" "Outsider?" Gu Taijun widened his eyes. "Xiaoyan is my sister, and you are my wife. You are family." "Family?" I sneered. "What is the standard for being family? Is it my one-sided giving, or mutual care and respect?" Gu Taijun was left speechless by my question. I continued, "How many times have I washed clothes for your sister since she was little? How many meals have I cooked for her? And her, what has she ever done for me? Not even a simple thank you." This is different." Gu Taijun tried to argue. "What's so different?" I interrupted him. "Just because I married you, I have to serve everyone in your family unconditionally." Gu Taijun was stunned by my words. He had never thought about the issue from this perspective. "Yaya, you've changed." In the end, that was all he could say. "Yes, I've changed," I admitted frankly. "I won't be that foolish woman who endures hardships without complaint anymore." After saying that, I turned and walked out of the room, leaving Gu Taijun standing there in a daze. In the yard, Wang Zuihua was still muttering angrily. Seeing me come out, she immediately glared and said, "Don't think that just because my son protects you, you can do whatever you want in this house." I looked at her and suddenly smiled. "Mom, let me remind you, your son's salary card is in my hands, and I'm the one managing the family savings. If you think I'm useless, you can certainly kick me out, but if that happens, this family's source of income will be cut off." Wang Zuihua's face instantly turned deathly pale. It was only then that she remembered. Although Gu Taijun was the regimental commander, I was the one managing his salary. All household expenses had to go through me. If I really dropped everything and quit, this family would immediately fall into dire straits. At this thought, Wang Zuihua's arrogance instantly diminished by more than half. Chapter 3. In the evening, Gu Taijun sat by the bedside, looking at me as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. I was combing my hair and saw his expression through the mirror, secretly laughing to myself. In my past life, I always took the initiative to please him. Afraid of upsetting him, in this life, I'll let him taste what it feels like to be ignored. Yaya, Gu Taijun finally spoke up, about what happened today. Are you feeling wronged? I put down the wooden comb and turned to look at him. Wronged? Not at all. Why would I feel wronged? Then why have you suddenly become so, he couldn't find the right words. So what? Disobedient. Unreasonable. I finished for him. Gu Taijun nodded, then felt it wasn't right and quickly shook his head. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I crossed my arms and looked at him coldly. Gu Taijun felt uncomfortable under my gaze. What I mean is, couples should discuss things properly. It's not good for you to talk back to mom directly. Oh, so you mean I should discuss it with you first, get rejected by you, and still end up having to take care of your sister? I said with a half smile. I didn't say that. Gu Taijun grew a bit anxious, but that's exactly what you meant. I stood up, looking down at him. Gu Taijun, let me ask you this. If my mom came to our house to give birth, would you take the initiative to take care of her? Gu Taijun was stunned. He had never thought about this question. You wouldn't, right? I continued, because that's my mom, not yours. By the same logic, your sister isn't my sister either, but we're married. Gu Taijun tried to argue. Does being married mean I have to serve your family for free? I interrupted him. Then what have you done for my family? Gu Taijun was completely speechless, looking at his embarrassed state. A sense of satisfaction welled up inside me. In my previous life, I was bound by their family's moral coercion for 20 years. In this life, I will make them understand what equality truly means. Yaya, I know you've been wronged. Gu Taijun suddenly grabbed my hand. I'll be more careful in the future. I pulled my hand away. Careful about what? Careful not to wrong me. Or careful to make me more obedient. That's not what I meant. Gu Taijun was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. What exactly do you mean? I pressed him step by step. Answer me, in your heart, am I your wife or your family's nanny? Gu Taijun was left red-faced by my questioning and couldn't speak for a long time. Seeing his reaction, I was completely heartbroken. In my past life, I thought he loved me but was just influenced by his family's judgment. Now I understand that in his heart, I was never an independent individual, but merely a tool attached to their family. All right, you don't need to answer. I turned and got into bed. I'm tired and want to sleep. Yaya, Gu Taijun still wanted to say something. You should go to bed early too. You have work tomorrow. I said with my back to him, my voice cold. Gu Taijun sat by the bed for a long time, and in the end, he could only lie down helplessly, but he didn't sleep well all night. I could feel him tossing and turning beside me. The next morning, when I got up to make breakfast, I found Wang Zuihua already busy in the kitchen. She looked at me with a very unpleasant expression. Last night, Xiaoyan was crying and fussing, saying there wasn't enough milk, and the baby was crying from hunger. Wang Zuihua said sarcastically, it's all because no one is taking good care of her. I washed the rice expressionlessly. Then why don't you take care of her yourself? I'm just an old woman. What do I know so much? Wang Zuihua said angrily. I still need you, as the sister-in-law. I know even less, I said calmly. I've never had a child, so how would I know what a new mother needs? Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my reply. At that moment, Su Xiaoyan came out of the room holding the child, her face pale and looking truly exhausted. Sister-in-law, could you make me some brown sugar eggs? She said in a weak voice. I really don't have the strength. In the past, hearing her speak like this would have softened my heart, but now, remembering her actions in my past life, my heart has turned as hard as iron. Xiaoyan, your mother is here, let her make it for you, I said without looking up. Su Xiaoyan was stunned, clearly not expecting me to refuse. Sis, my mom was busy all day yesterday and is really tired. She tried to guilt-trip me. Then you can rest for a while before cooking, or wait for your husband to come and let him cook. I remained unmoved. Gu Taijun doesn't know how to cook. Su Xiaoyan's voice choked up a bit. He can learn if he doesn't know how. I finally looked up at her. He's a grown man. How hard can it be for him to boil an egg? Su Xiaoyan blushed at my words. Wang Zuihua couldn't stand by and watch any longer. Suya, what do you mean by that? Xiaoyan is your sister-in-law. Taking care of her is only natural. Only natural, I sneered. Who taught you that? Taking care of a new mother is the responsibility of the husband and mother-in-law. Since when is it the sister-in-law's job? You're spouting nonsense. Wang Zuihua trembled with anger. Nonsense. I put down what I was doing and looked at them seriously. Then let me ask you, if I have a child, will Su Xiaoyan take care of me? Both mother and daughter froze at the same time. I continued, in my past life, a few years ago, when my cousin had a child, which of you went to take care of her? Why didn't you talk about what's natural and right back then? I almost said, in my past life, but luckily I corrected myself in time. Wang Zuihua and Su Xiaoyan looked at each other, clearly not expecting me to counter like that. That's different, Wang Zuihua muttered. What's the difference? I pressed on. Isn't it all about women giving birth? Don't they all need someone to take care of them? Why do you ignore others when they have children, but when it's Su Xiaoyan's turn, you expect me to serve her? The two of them were left speechless by my questions. At that moment, Gu Taijun came in from outside and, seeing the tense situation, frowned deeply. What's wrong now, Taijun? Your wife is bullying Xiaoyan, Wang Zuihua immediately complained. Xiaoyan just gave birth, and she actually refused to help boil an egg. Gu Taijun's face darkened. Yaya, is boiling an egg so difficult? I looked at him, feeling a surge of sorrow in my heart. Sure enough, in his eyes, I would always be the one expected to give unconditionally. Chapter 4. Not difficult, I replied calmly. So you go and cook it. Gu Taijun was stunned. Me, yes, you, I said matter-of-factly. Your sister needs brown sugar and eggs. Isn't it perfectly normal for you, as her brother, to cook them for her? I don't know how, Gu Taijun said, flustered. You can learn if you don't know how, I retorted with the same words I had just said to Su Xiaoyan. You're a regiment commander. Managing so many people isn't a problem for you. How could boiling an egg possibly stump you? Gu Taijun was left speechless by my remark. Wang Zuihua stomped her feet anxiously beside us. Suya, you're being ridiculous. Taijun is a soldier. When would he have time for such things? Oh, so soldiers don't need to take care of their families. I shot back. Then what am I, a free nanny for soldiers? You are his wife, Wang Zuihua said with righteous indignation. Right, I am his wife, not the nanny for your entire family, I emphasized. As a wife, my duty is to take care of my husband, not his countless aunts and uncles. Su Xiaoyan, listening nearby, began to shed tears. Sister-in-law, I know you look down on me, but I'm really struggling. The baby has been crying, and I haven't slept well. Seeing her cry, Gu Taijun softened. Yaya, please help out. Xiaoyan really is having a hard time. Then help her, I said coldly. You're her brother. Shouldn't you help your own sister? I really don't know how to cook, Gu Taijun said with a pained expression. Then learn, I raised my voice. Do you think I was born knowing how to cook? I learned it step by step. After saying that, I turned around and was about to walk out of the kitchen. Wang Zuihua got anxious, reaching out to block my way. You can't leave. You must boil the eggs today. I looked at her hand blocking my path, my gaze turning dangerous. Move your hand. I won't. Wang Zuihua looked as if she had nothing to lose. If you don't boil the eggs today, don't even think about leaving this kitchen. I sneered and suddenly raised my voice to shout. Help! Someone is trying to hit me. Wang Zuihua was startled and quickly withdrew her hand. I wasn't going to hit you. Weren't you just trying to stop me from leaving? I continued loudly. In our village, forcibly restricting someone's personal freedom is illegal. At that moment, the neighbor, Aunt Zhang, heard the noise and poked her head in to ask, what's going on? What happened? I immediately went up to her. Aunt Zhang, you came just in time. My mother-in-law won't let me leave the kitchen, saying I can't go unless I boil the eggs. Isn't this restricting personal freedom? Upon hearing this, Aunt Zhang immediately frowned. Zuihua, what are you doing? Yaya isn't your family's maid. Wang Zuihua's face flushed bright red, and she stammered, unable to get a word out. I seized the opportunity to continue. Aunt Zhang, you be the judge. My sister-in-law is having a baby, and she insists that I as her sister-in-law. Take care of her, is that reasonable? Aunt Zhang shook her head. That's not reasonable at all, by rights, it should be her husband and her mother taking care of her. Exactly, I nodded, but they insisted that I should take care of her, and when I disagreed, they said I was being unreasonable. More and more neighbors were drawn by the noise, and everyone started chattering and discussing the situation. Tsuehua, you're in the wrong here. Yaya doesn't owe your family anything. Exactly. Xiaoyan's husband should be the one taking care of her after childbirth. It makes no sense to expect the sister-in-law to do it. Yaya, you did the right thing. We can't spoil them. Hearing all the neighbors supporting me, Wang Zuihua's face turned even uglier. Gu Taijun also felt embarrassed by the scene. He grabbed my arm and said, Yaya, stop making a scene, let's talk inside. I shook off his hand. Who's making a scene? I'm just reasoning with them, then go back inside first. And we'll talk behind closed doors. Gu Tijuan's tone was somewhat urgent. I knew he was afraid of losing face, but I deliberately went against his wishes. What can't be said in front of the neighbors? If you've done nothing wrong, what is there to fear? Gu Taijun flushed red with embarrassment at my words. At that moment, Aunt Zhang spoke up. Taijun, your mother and sister have indeed gone too far. Yaya has been working hard enough taking care of your whole family. When Xiaoyan gives birth, her husband should be the one looking after her. If that's not possible, then hire someone. Don't always make Yaya bear the burden. The other neighbors also chimed in. Exactly, Yaya is such a good person, you can't always bully her. Tsuehua, you've been a daughter-in-law too. You should understand Yaya's difficulties. Hearing the neighbors all criticizing her family, Wang Zuihua finally couldn't hold back and pointed at me, shouting, Suya, you wretch. You actually brought in reinforcements to deal with me. I looked at her coldly. Mom, what you're saying isn't right. When did I bring in reinforcements? It's just that what you did was unreasonable, and everyone couldn't stand by and watch. You. Wang Zuihua was so angry that she couldn't speak. Gu Taijun felt terrible seeing his mother being criticized by everyone, but he couldn't refute the neighbor's words, so he just stood there with a dark expression. Su Xiaoyan hid in the room with her child, too afraid to face the situation. Aunt Zhang shook her head at Wang Zuihua and said, Zuihua, if you keep this up, you'll drive your good daughter-in-law away sooner or later. If you don't cherish a girl as wonderful as Yaya, you'll regret it when it's too late. After saying that, Aunt Zhang turned and left. The other neighbors also gradually dispersed, whispering among themselves as they left, clearly disapproving of Wang Zuihua's behavior. After all the neighbors had left, the yard fell into an eerie silence. Wang Zuihua was trembling with anger and pointed at me, saying, Suya, you've made me lose face in front of the whole village today. I won't let this go, I said without changing my expression. Mom, it's not me who made you lose face. It's that you were in the wrong. If you think what I said is incorrect, you can ask other families how they handle such matters. I don't care how other families do it, in this house. We do things my way, Wang Zuihua said unreasonably. Then you can do it yourself. I turned and walked toward my room. Anyway, I won't be a free nanny anymore. Stop right there, Wang Zuihua shouted from behind. If you dare walk away today, don't even think about stepping into this house again. I stopped and looked back at her. Mom, are you sure you want to say that? Wang Zuihua seemed a bit unnerved by my gaze, but she still mustered the courage and said, I said it. I nodded. All right, then we'll do as you said. With that, I really walked out of the courtyard. Chapter 5. After leaving the courtyard, I headed straight to my parents' home at the east end of the village. From behind came Wang Zuihua's furious voice. You come back here. Come back. I didn't look back. My steps resolute. In my past life, I had been threatened by Wang Zuihua countless times like this, and I always gave in because I couldn't let go of Gu Taijun and couldn't bear to leave this family. But in this life, I've seen through everything. Let's see how they manage without me. My parents' home isn't far from the Gu family's place, just about a 10-minute walk. On the way, I ran into a few villagers who all asked me with concern, Yaya, why are you going back to your parents' home at this time? Did you have a fight with Taijun? I smiled and replied, no fight. I just came back to see my mom. When I arrived at my parents' home, my mom, Su Zuilian, was feeding the chickens in the yard. Seeing me return so suddenly, she was a bit surprised. Yaya, why are you back? where's Taijun, Mom? I'm back to stay for a few days. I walked into the yard, brushing the dust off my clothes. Su Tzuilian immediately became tense. What's wrong? Did your in-laws bully you? Although my mother has a gentle personality, she is very loving towards me, her daughter. In my previous life, she passed away early and didn't get to see my final outcome. In this life, I must take good care of her and be filial. It's not exactly bullying, just a difference in values. I briefly explained what happened today. After hearing this, Su Tzuilian was so angry she slapped her thigh. That Wang Zuihua, I knew she was no good back then, Yaya. You did the right thing, don't let them take advantage of you. Mom, I'll be staying at home for a few days. I hope I won't be a bother. I asked. What nonsense. This is your home. Stay as long as you want. Su Tzuilian quickly replied. I'll go tidy up your room. My room was still exactly as it had been before I got married. Su Tzuilian often cleaned it, so it was neat and tidy. Yaya, are you really determined to confront the Gu family? Su Tzuilian asked with concern. It's not about being stubborn, it's about equality, I said seriously. Mom, tell me, if I were to have a child, would Wang Zuihua take care of me? Su Tzuilian thought for a moment and shook her head. Given her personality, it's impossible. Then why does she expect me to take care of Su Xiaoyan? I retorted. Su Tzuilian nodded. You're right, Yaya. Mom supports you. With the support from my family, I feel more confident. In the afternoon, while I was helping my mother tidy up the vegetable garden, I heard hurried footsteps outside the yard. Yaya, Yaya. It was Gu Tiejun's voice. I ignored him and continued fiddling with the vegetable seedlings in my hands. Gu Taijun ran into the yard and, seeing me in the vegetable garden, breathed a sigh of relief. Yaya, you're really here. Where else would I be? I didn't even look up. Where could I go? You should come home with me, Gu Taijun said, his tone pleading. Mom already knows she was wrong. I let out a cold laugh. Knows she was wrong. What does she know she did wrong? She shouldn't have stopped you, shouldn't have said those things, Gu Taijun stammered. And then what? I finally looked up at him. And then I still have to go back and serve your sister. Gu Taijun was left speechless by my question. At that moment, Su Tzuilian came out of the house and, seeing Gu Taijun, her expression turned cold. Taijun, what are you doing here, Mom? I'm here to pick Yaya up and take her home, Gu Taijun said with an apologetic smile. Home? Su Tzuilian snorted coldly. This is Yaya's home. What do you take her for in your family? Someone you can summon and dismiss at will. Gu Tiejun's face flushed red with embarrassment. Mom, our family doesn't mean it that way. Don't mean it that way. Su Tzuilian grew angrier as she spoke. Then why did your mother say Yaya shouldn't even think about stepping through your door again? Gu Taijun was stunned. She was just saying that in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment, I stood up, dusting the dirt off my hands. Gu Taijun, your mother said those things in front of so many neighbors, and now you're calling it a heat of the moment remark. Yaya, my mom is just tough on the outside but soft on the inside. Don't take it to heart. Gu Taijun tried to defend his mother. Tough on the outside but soft on the inside, I sneered. When has she ever been soft on the inside? Gu Taijun was left speechless by my question. I continued, go back and tell your mother that I've taken her words to heart. Since she doesn't welcome me into the house, I won't step inside. I wouldn't want to upset her. Yaya, you're just being stubborn. Gu Taijun grew a bit anxious. Stubborn? I looked at him. Gu Taijun, let me ask you, in your heart, am I your wife or your family servant? Of course, it's my wife. Gu Taijun answered without hesitation. Since she is your wife, she should be respected and treated equally. I said, word by word, not treated as free labor, unconditionally serving your entire family. Gu Taijun fell silent. I looked at his expression and felt a surge of sorrow in my heart. Even at this point, he still hadn't realized the root of the problem. Go back. I turned and walked into the house. Come find me when you've figured things out, Yaya, Gu Taijun called after me. What exactly do you want me to do? I stopped but didn't turn around. Ask your own conscience. With that, I entered the house and closed the door. Through the window, I saw Gu Taijun standing in the yard for a long time, and in the end, he left dejectedly. Su Tzuilian came into the room to find me. Yaya, isn't this a bit too harsh of you, Mom? it has to be this way. I shook my head. You don't know how much I suffered in my past life. In the past few years, this time. I must make them understand that I'm not someone to be bullied. Su Tzuilian sighed. Then how long do you plan to stay at home? I'll stay until they truly realize their mistake, I said firmly. That night, lying on my familiar little bed, I felt an indescribable sense of relief. Without Wang Zuihua's nagging, Su Xiaoyan's orders, or Gu Tiejuan's emotional manipulation, the whole world had quieted down. Early the next morning, while I was helping my mother prepare breakfast, I heard Wang Zuihua's voice coming from outside the yard. Dear in-law, is Yaya there? I've come to take her home. Su Tzuilian and I exchanged a glance, neither of us moving. Wang Zuihua waited for a while, and when no one responded, she raised her voice again. In-laws, I know you're home. Su Tzuilian finally went out to open the door. Wang Zuihua walked into the yard with a fake smile. In-laws, did Yaya come back yesterday? She's back, Su Tzuilian replied coldly. Then, let her come home with me, Wang Zuihua said. The family can't do without her. Can't do without her. Su Tzuilian sneered. Didn't you say yesterday that she shouldn't set foot in the house again? Wang Zuihua flushed. That was just said in anger. Words spoken in anger are still words. I walked out of the room. Mom, I admire that you keep your word. Since you don't welcome me, I won't be coming back. Yaya, you child, why do you hold such a grudge? Wang Zuihua tried to put on a kind expression. Mom was just confused for a moment yesterday. Don't take it to heart. I didn't take it to heart. I seriously considered your suggestion, I said with a serious face. I think you're right. I really don't fit in living in your home. Chapter 6. Wang Zuihua didn't expect me to respond like this and was momentarily stunned. Yaya, stop fooling around. She forced a smile. Come home with me quickly. Xiaoyan is still waiting for you to take care of her. Doesn't Xiaoyan have her mother? I retorted. Didn't you take good care of her yesterday? Wang Zuihua's expression changed. I'm just an old woman. What do I know? We still need you. As her sister-in-law, I don't know either. I shrugged. I've never had a child. How would I know what to pay attention to during postpartum recovery? Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my retort. At this point, Su Tzuilian spoke up. Zuihua, Yaya is right. Taking care of a new mother is the responsibility of the husband and mother-in-law. Asking a young woman who's never given birth to do it, isn't that just making things difficult for her? But Yaya is Xiaoyan's sister-in-law. Wang Zuihua tried to argue. What does being a sister-in-law have to do with it? Su Tzuilian said bluntly. Does being a sister-in-law mean she has to be a free nanny? When Xiaoyan got married, Yaya helped organize the wedding, running around so much that she fell ill from exhaustion. Did Xiaoyan ever even say thank you? Wang Zuihua was left speechless by the question. Su Tzuilian continued. And on top of that, Yaya has been doing Xiaoyan's laundry and cooking for her all this time. When has Xiaoyan ever shown any gratitude? Instead, she takes it for granted. Now that Xiaoyan has a child, she suddenly remembers Yaya. Since when is that how things work in this world? I watched from the side, secretly admiring my mom's eloquence. In my past life, she was always so gentle. I never expected her to be this fierce when she got angry. Wang Zuihua was flushed with embarrassment and could only bring up her son in the end. Yaya. Taijun was very upset when he went home yesterday and didn't sleep well all night. Please, for his sake, come back home. He's upset, I sneered. What does he have to be upset about? Whose side was he on yesterday when I had a conflict with you? Wang Zuihua opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. I continued, from start to finish, he was always on your side. Now that there's a problem, you remember me, Yaya. Taijun still cares about you in his heart. Wang Zuihua tried to defend her son. Towards me, I shook my head. If you were really on my side, you wouldn't have let me suffer all that injustice yesterday. Wang Zuihua was completely at her wit's end and could only resort to her final trump card. Yaya, if you don't come back, I'll kneel here and not get up. As she spoke, she really was about to kneel down. Quick as lightning, I reached out to support her. Mom, what are you doing? We're all reasonable people here. Let's talk this out properly. Then come home with me. Wang Zuihua seized the opportunity to say. I released her. Mom, I can go home, but on one condition. Wang Zuihua's eyes lit up. What condition? First, from now on, household chores will be divided among everyone, you can't leave it all to me. I raised one finger. Second, your daughter's matters are your responsibility. Don't always ask me for help. Third, I have a say in all major and minor decisions at home. After listening, Wang Zuihua's face turned very unpleasant. This is against the rules. What rules? I retorted. Which rule says a daughter-in-law has to be the family's nanny? But it's been this way since ancient times, Wang Zuihua muttered. Since ancient times. It's also been said that a woman without talent is virtuous, so why did you let your daughter go to school? I argued. Times have changed, and many old ideas should be updated. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by what I said. Su Zuilian added from the side. Zuihua, Yaya's conditions are reasonable, she's not a maid your family bought. So why should she serve you unconditionally? Wang Zuihua remained silent for a long time, then finally gritted her teeth and said, Fine, I agree. I knew she was forced into it and wasn't convinced at heart, but it didn't matter. I had plenty of ways to make her yield. Alright, we'll head back now. I turned to Su Zuilian and said, Mom, I'm going home first. I'll come see you again in a couple of days. Go ahead. Come back if anything comes up. Su Zuilian patted my hand. Mom will always be your support. I walked home with Wang Zuihua. Several times along the way, she seemed to want to say something but hesitated. As we reached the door, we could hear the sound of a child crying and Su Xiaoyan's anxious voice from inside. Mom, why were you gone for so long? The child has been crying non-stop, and I can't even hold him anymore. Wang Zuihua, hearing her daughter's voice, immediately quickened her pace and entered the room. I followed behind and saw Su Xiaoyan sitting on the bed holding the child, her face pale and looking very haggard. Xiaoyan, I've brought your sister-in-law back, Wang Zuihua said somewhat ingratiatingly. Su Xiaoyan's eyes lit up as soon as she saw me. Sister-in-law, you're back. That's wonderful. I really can't hold on any longer. I looked at her and said in a flat tone, Xiaoyan, I have a few things to make clear to you. What is it? Su Xiaoyan looked puzzled. From now on, I won't interfere with your matters in principle. I got straight to the point. You have your mother and your husband to take care of you. You don't need me. Su Xiaoyan was stunned. Sister-in-law, what do you mean by that? Meaning, I'm not your nanny, I said coldly. Taking care of a new mother is the husband and mother-in-law's responsibility, not the sister-in-law's duty. But we're family. Su Xiaoyan tried to play the emotional card. Family should help each other. Not just one-sided giving. I interrupted her. What have you ever done for me? What have you ever helped me with? Su Xiaoyan was left speechless by my questions. Wang Zuihua couldn't stand by any longer. Yaya, how can you talk like that? Xiaoyan is your sister-in-law. What's wrong with being a sister-in-law? I turned to her. Mom, you just agreed to my conditions, and now you want to go back on your word. Reminded by me, Wang Zuihua could only grit her teeth and say nothing. At that moment, Gu Taijun returned from outside. Seeing me at home, his face lit up with surprise. Yaya, you're back. I nodded. But we need to talk. Gu Taijun glanced at his mother and sister's expressions and had a bad feeling. Talk about what? About our marriage. About the rules of this family. I looked directly into his eyes. If you still want to keep this family together. Gu Taijun was taken aback by my serious tone. Yaya, just say what you want to say. It's very simple. I want equality. I want respect. I said word by word. I won't be anyone's free nanny anymore, including you. Gu Taijun's expression changed. Yaya, isn't it natural for spouses to take care of each other, right? Take care of each other. I emphasized. It's mutual, not one-sided. Gu Taijun fell silent. He began to realize that this conflict wasn't just a simple family dispute, but my reevaluation of the entire marital relationship. Watching the three of them lost in thought, a sense of satisfaction welled up inside me. In my previous life, I endured humiliation for 20 years, and what did it get me? Their increasing demands, and ultimately, betrayal and abandonment. In this life, I will make them understand that it's not that I have no temper, I just didn't want to show it before. Now, the rules of the game are about to change. Chapter 7. That night, Gu Taijun sat by the bed, looking at me as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. I'm organizing my things. Ignoring his gaze. Yaya, He finally spoke up. Were you serious about what you said today? I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. Do I look like I'm joking? No. What I mean is, Gu Taijun was trying to find the right words. We've been married for 3 years, and everything has been fine. Why suddenly? Fine, I sneered. Gu Taijun, do you really think it's fine, isn't it? He looked somewhat confused. We've never had a big fight, and you've never complained. I've never complained. I turned around and looked straight at him. Or have you never listened to my complaints? Gu Taijun was stunned. I continued. How many times have I mentioned to you over the past 3 years that I wanted to move out and live on my own? How did you respond? I said we should wait until our conditions improved a bit. Gu Taijun's voice grew softer. Conditions improved a bit. I shook my head. You mean we'll never move out, right? Gu Taijun was caught off guard by my words and felt somewhat embarrassed. Also, I've told you before, I hope you can speak up for me in front of Mom and not let me always be wronged. And what did you do? I pressed on step by step. I didn't want to cause conflict at home, Gu Taijun stammered. You didn't want conflict at home, so you let me bear all the grievances alone. My voice rose. Gu Taijun, in your heart, what does family harmony mean? Gu Taijun was left speechless by my question. I looked at his flustered state, and a wave of sorrow welled up in my heart. In your mind, so-called family harmony means I have to endure unconditionally and give unconditionally. Is that right? That's not what I meant. Gu Taijun tried to explain. Then what did you mean? I interrupted him. For 3 years, your mother has been ordering me around. Your sister treats me like a free nanny. And you, have you seen it? Have you ever stopped it? Gu Taijun was completely speechless. I continued, you know what? Sometimes I feel like an outsider in this house. You 3 are a happy family, and I'm just the servant responsible for doing all the work. Yaya, that's not true. Gu Taijun tried to explain. Whether it's true or not, you know it in your heart. I turned around and continued tidying things up. I used to think you truly loved me, but were just influenced by your family. Now I understand. You never treated me as an equal partner. Hearing this, Gu Taijun's face turned grim. Yaya, how can you say that? Of course I love you. Love me. I turned to look at him. Does loving someone mean letting them suffer grievances, letting them be bullied by their family, treating them as free labor? Gu Taijun blushed with embarrassment at my questions. I looked at him, and the last trace of illusion in my heart shattered. Gu Taijun, what you call love is demanding unconditional sacrifice and tolerance from me. This isn't love. It's selfishness. Gu Taijun wanted to argue but found himself unable to come up with any justification. Starting tomorrow, we'll sleep in separate rooms, I said calmly. When you truly understand what respect and equality mean, then we can talk about anything else. Gu Taijun looked at me in shock. Yaya, you can't do this. We're husband and wife. Does being husband and wife mean I have to unconditionally obey you and your family? I retorted. If that's the case, then I don't want this kind of marriage. After saying that, I picked up my pillow and blanket and headed to the spare bedroom. Gu Taijun wanted to stop me, but my gaze held him back. You'd better think carefully before you act, I said coldly. I'm not the meek Suya I used to be. Gu Taijun stood where he was, watching me close the bedroom door, a look of confusion on his face that I had never seen before. The next morning, when I got up to make breakfast, I found that Gu Taijun had already left. He left a note that read, Yaya, I've gone to the military base. I'll be back in a couple of days. Let's talk things over properly. Wang Zuhua saw the note and immediately shifted the blame onto me. It's all your fault. You made Taijun leave in anger. He didn't leave because he was angry. He went to work, I said calmly. It's Monday, and he was supposed to go to the military base anyway. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my response. Su Xiaoyan came out of the room holding her child. Seeing that I was cooking, her eyes lit up. Sister-in-law, could you warm up some milk for me? The baby is hungry. Your mom is here. Let her help you heat it up, I said without looking up. But my mom doesn't know how to adjust it. Su Xiaoyan tried to soften me up. Then teach her, I continued, busy with my work, or do it yourself. Su Xiaoyan was stunned, clearly not expecting me to respond that way. Wang Zuhua couldn't stand by any longer. Suya, how can you be so heartless? Xiao Yan is still in confinement. Confinement isn't prison. You still have to do what needs to be done. I looked up at them. Besides, How hard is it to heat up milk? Just put the formula in a bowl. Pour in hot water and stir. What if the baby gets scalded? Su Xiaoyan said worriedly. Test the temperature with the back of your hand first, and only give it to the baby when it's not too hot, I explained patiently. These are basic common sense. As the child's mother, you should learn them. Su Xiaoyan blushed at my words and ended up having to warm the milk herself. Wang Zuhua trembled with anger beside us but didn't dare to lash out. She had already agreed to my terms yesterday, and going back on her word now would only make her lose more face. During breakfast, the atmosphere was unusually tense. Both Wang Zuhua and Su Xiaoyan looked sullen, occasionally shooting resentful glances my way. I, on the other hand, ate heartily, feeling better than ever. After the meal, Wang Zuhua began to clear the dishes, but she moved slowly. Clearly waiting for me to offer help, I pretended not to notice and walked out on my own. Yaya, where are you going? Wang Zuhua couldn't help but ask. Just taking a walk around the village, I said without turning my head. It's been a while since I've chatted with the neighbors. Wang Zuhua's expression changed. She knew I was doing this on purpose, wanting the whole village to know how she treated me at home. You better not go around talking nonsense, she shouted from behind. What did I say? I stopped and turned to look at her. I just wanted to chat with everyone and share some of my thoughts and experiences. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my words. I stepped out of the courtyard, feeling exceptionally refreshed. In my previous life, I was always confined to that small yard, compromising for the sake of so-called family harmony. In this life, I will live out my own brilliance. Walking along the village path, villagers greeted me from time to time. I smiled and responded, my heart filled with the joy of freedom. Suddenly, I remembered a detail from my previous life. Right around the time Su Xiaoyan was giving birth, the village supply and marketing cooperative had received a new shipment, which included some highly sought-after fabrics and daily necessities. In my previous life, I missed this opportunity because I had to take care of Su Xiaoyan. In this life, I will seize it. Chapter 8. I quickly walked toward the village supply and marketing cooperative, my mind filled with calculations about the business opportunities I remembered from my past life. In 1975, China's commodity economy was still underdeveloped, but there were already signs of change. Some sharp-eyed individuals had started engaging in small-scale trade, which, though modest in scale, yielded considerable profits. In my previous life, I had heard that the wife of Director Li from the Supply and Marketing Cooperative had made a small fortune by reselling scarce goods. At the time, I was envious, but I was too tied down by household chores to even consider such ventures. This life is different. I have the advantage of rebirth and the determination to break free from the constraints of family. Arriving at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, I saw a crowd gathered at the entrance, everyone discussing the newly arrived goods. I heard there's fabric made in Shanghai, the quality is especially good, and there are enamel basins from Beijing, both beautiful and practical. Better hurry and take a look, the good stuff will be picked over soon. I squeezed through the crowd and indeed saw various new goods displayed on the shelves. The fabrics were vibrant in color and stylish in design. The enamelware was glossy and new, much better in quality than the locally produced ones. Yaya, you're here to check out the new goods too? Xiao Wang, the salesperson at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, greeted me. Yes, I heard there are quite a few good things, I replied with a smile, while my eyes quickly scanned the shelves. Based on my memories from my past life, a few of these items were particularly popular, especially that Shanghai fabric printed with peonies. It was highly sought after in the nearby villages and would soon be sold out. Xiao Wang, how much is that peony fabric per foot? I asked, pointing to the fabric on the shelf. This one, it's 80 cents per foot, Xiao Wang replied. The quality is excellent. It's a new style from Shanghai. 80 cents per foot was considered quite expensive at the time, but I knew that if I took this fabric to other villages, I could sell it for at least 1 yuan and 20 cents per foot. I'll take 10 feet, I said without hesitation. Xiao Wang was a bit surprised. 10 feet, Yaya. Are you going to make so many clothes? I'm making a set for everyone in the family, I said casually, but in my mind, I was calculating another plan. After buying the fabric, I also picked out a few daily necessities. In my previous life, I had heard that these items were much more expensive in the county town than in the village. Yaya, why are you buying so many things today? A villager nearby asked curiously. It's rare to find good stuff, so I'm stocking up, I replied with a smile. In truth, I knew very well that I wasn't buying these things for my own use, but to resell them for a profit, although doing business was still somewhat sensitive in those times. As long as you didn't make too much of a show of it, people generally wouldn't interfere, especially in rural areas. It was quite common for villagers to buy and sell daily necessities among themselves. After paying, I carried a large bundle of goods and headed home. On the way, I ran into a few neighbors who looked curiously at what I was holding. Yaya, you bought so many things, must have spent a lot of money, right? Enli asked with concern. It's fine, they're all things the family needs. I didn't say much more. When I got home, Wang Zuehua and Su Xiaoyan's eyes widened at the sight of what I had bought. What did you buy so many things for? Wang Zuehua asked with a frown. How much money did this cost? Does it have anything to do with you how I spend my own money? I replied indifferently. Wang Zuehua was left speechless by my retort. Su Xiaoyan looked at the beautiful fabrics with envy in her eyes. Sister-in-law, these fabrics are so beautiful, could you spare some for me? I want to make a little outfit for my child. No, I refused directly. These are all meant for something else. Su Xiaoyan, rejected by me, looked somewhat displeased. Sister-in-law, you bought so much. What's wrong with giving me a little? Because these weren't free, I paid for them, I said, looking at her. If you want some, you can go buy them yourself. I don't have any money, Su Xiaoyan muttered. If you don't have money, don't think about taking other people's things, I said bluntly. Wang Zuehua couldn't stand by any longer. Suya, Xiaoyan is your sister-in-law. What's the big deal about giving her some fabric? She's my sister-in-law, not my daughter, I replied coldly. I have no obligation to support her for free. How can you be so stingy? Wang Zuehua stomped her foot in anger. Stingy, I sneered. Then what have you ever bought for me, since I married into this family? Have you ever bought me even a foot of fabric? Wang Zuehua was left speechless by my question. I continued. If your daughter wants something, let her figure it out herself. Don't always think about taking advantage of others. After saying that, I carried the things into the room, leaving the mother and daughter sulking outside. The next day, while Wang Zuehua and her daughter weren't paying attention, I slipped out quietly. I was going to the neighboring village to try and see if I could sell these things. The neighboring village isn't far from ours, just a half-hour walk. I chose to go there because I'd heard in my past life that the people there were more interested in new things and had relatively stronger purchasing power. When I arrived at the neighboring village, I first went to a household I was somewhat familiar with. I had met Sister Zhang, who lives at the eastern end of the village, a few times before. She's quite straightforward and probably wouldn't refuse to take a look at my goods. Yaya, what brings you here? Sister Zhang was pleasantly surprised to see me. Sister Zhang, I have some good stuff I'd like you to take a look at, I said mysteriously. What good stuff? Sister Zhang became interested. I opened the package, revealing the fabric and daily necessities inside. Sister Zhang's eyes immediately lit up. Oh my, these things are so beautiful. Where did you buy them? She picked up the fabric and examined it carefully. At the department store in the county town, I said casually. The quality is excellent, just a bit expensive. How much? Sister Zhang asked. I quickly calculated in my mind and decided to offer a reasonable price for this peony pattern fabric. It's 1 yuan and 20 cents per foot. Sister Zhang thought for a moment. Can it be a bit cheaper? Sister Zhang, this price is already very fair. If you go to the county town to buy it, just the transportation cost would be more than this, I said. Sister Zhang nodded, thinking it made sense. Then I'll take 3 feet, to make a dress for my daughter. I was secretly delighted. That was 3 yuan and 60 cents, a full 1 yuan and 20 cents more than my cost price. Next, I successfully sold a few other items. By the end of the morning, I had earned nearly 10 yuan. At that time, this was no small amount, equivalent to 4 or 5 days' wages for an ordinary worker. I'm getting more and more excited, feeling like I found a path to wealth. When I got home, Wang Zuehua was washing clothes in the yard. Seeing me come back empty-handed, she looked puzzled. Where are your things? What things? I pretended to be confused. The fabric and basins you bought yesterday. Wang Zuihua said. Oh, I gave it away, I said casually. Gave it away? Wang Zuihua widened her eyes. Are you crazy? You just gave away something so expensive. Who I give it to is none of your business, is it? I retorted. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my response. Actually, I didn't tell her the truth because I didn't want her to know I was doing business. Given her personality, she would definitely ask me to hand over the money I earned to her for safekeeping. In the evening, Gu Taijun came back. He looked very tired and his complexion wasn't good. Taijun, what's wrong? You look exhausted, I asked with concern. Nothing, just some work-related matters, he replied briefly, then looked at me and said, yeah, let's talk. I nodded. Okay, let's talk in the room. Chapter 9, Gu Taijun followed me into the room and closed the door. He remained silent for a long time before speaking. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot these past 2 days, he said, sitting in a chair and looking at me. Maybe you have a point. I was a bit surprised, not expecting him to admit his mistake on his own. What have you figured out? I asked. Gu Taijun sighed. I've realized that I've truly neglected your feelings, all these years. I always thought that harmony at home was the most important thing, but I overlooked the fact that this harmony was built upon your sacrifices. Hearing him say this, a complex mix of emotions welled up inside me. How I had longed to hear such words in my past life, but now, they felt somewhat ironic. And then, I asked calmly. Then, Gu Taijun hesitated a bit. I want to ask you, what do you want me to do? I looked at him, pondered for a moment. Gu Taijun. What I want is simple, to be respected as an independent person, not as an accessory to your family. I understand. Gu Taijun nodded. I'll be more mindful in the future. Mindful of what? I pressed. How exactly will you be mindful? Gu Taijun was flustered by my question. I will help you more with the housework, and I'll speak up for you in front of Mom. And what else? I pressed on, and, Gu Taijun thought for a moment. I'll make it clear to Mom and Xiaoyan that they can't always rely on you for help. I shook my head. Gu Taijun, you still don't get it. Where don't I understand? He was getting a bit impatient. All you're talking about are minor adjustments within the existing framework. I looked at him, but the root of the problem isn't there. Then where is it? Gu Taijun asked, puzzled. The root of the problem is that you've never treated me as an equal partner, I said, word by word, in your heart. I'm just your wife, and my duty is to take care of this home and your family. Gu Taijun wanted to argue, but I raised my hand to stop him. Let me finish, I continued. A true marital relationship should be about mutual support and growing together, not one person unconditionally sacrificing for the other. But isn't it natural for spouses to take care of each other? Gu Taijun asked. Yes, it should be mutual care, I emphasized, but over these past 3 years, has it really been mutual? Gu Taijun fell silent. I continued. I take care of you, your mother, your sister, and every aspect of this family. And you, what have you ever done for me? Have you ever cared about my feelings? Have you ever supported my ideas? Gu Taijun was left red-faced by my questions. And what's more, do you even know what my dreams are? Do you know what kind of life I want? I pressed on relentlessly. Gu Taijun opened his mouth, but no words came out. Seeing his reaction, a wave of sorrow washed over me. 3 years, and you still don't know what I want. All you care about is what I can do for this family, not what I need as a person. Gu Taijun tried to explain. Don't say anything. I waved my hand. Gu Taijun, let's start over. From today on, you get to know me again, and I'll get to know you again. What do you mean? Gu Taijun looked puzzled. It means, forget all the old patterns. I looked at him. We'll start over. Building a relationship based on equality and mutual respect. Gu Taijun thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, how do you want to start? First, we'll sleep in separate rooms until you truly understand what equality means. I said. Gu Taijun seemed a bit troubled. Secondly, we need to redistribute the household responsibilities. You will be in charge of your mother and your sister. I won't interfere anymore, I continued, but Mom is getting older. Gu Taijun tried to object. Just because she's older, she can't take care of her daughter, I retorted. What was she doing when she was younger? Gu Taijun was left speechless by what I said. Finally, I'm going to start doing some things of my own, I said, looking at him. I won't spend all my time on housework anymore. What things? Gu Taijun asked. That's none of your concern, I'll manage it myself, I said calmly. Gu Taijun looked at me with a complex expression in his eyes. Yeah. You've really changed a lot. Yes, I've changed, I admitted frankly. I've stopped being submissive and learned to think for myself. Gu Taijun remained silent for a long time before finally nodding. All right, I agree, but Yaya, I hope you can give me a chance to prove myself again. Opportunities are earned, not given, I said, looking at him. If you want a chance, prove it with your actions. After saying that, I turned around to leave the room. Yaya. Gu Taijun called out to me from behind. I stopped in my tracks but didn't turn around. I will work hard, he said. I didn't respond and walked straight out of the room. Walking into the courtyard, I saw Wang Zuihua sitting on the steps. Judging by her expression, she had clearly overheard the conversation in our room. Had enough listening? I asked. Wang Zuihua blushed and retorted stubbornly. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just sitting here to listen to us talk, right? I sneered. Mom, I suggest you avoid eavesdropping on other people's private conversations in the future. Wang Zuihua wanted to argue, but my look stopped her. Also, starting tomorrow, you'll handle Xiao Yan's matters yourself. I won't interfere anymore. I looked at her. Gu Taijun has already agreed, so I believe you won't have any objections either. Wang Zuihua's face turned very unpleasant, but she also knew that the current situation was not in her favor. Then, if Xiao Yan needs any help, she said tentatively, you're her mother, so of course she should come to you for anything she needs, I said bluntly, or she can ask her husband. That's their responsibility. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by my words. Just then, Su Xiaoyan came out of the room and, seeing us talking in the courtyard, timidly asked, Sister-in-law, could you help me wash the diapers tomorrow? My hands still hurt a bit. No, I refused directly. These are your child's diapers, you should wash them yourself. Or have your husband do it. Su Xiaoyan was stunned. But I'm in confinement. Confinement isn't imprisonment. You still need to do what needs to be done. I repeated what I had said earlier. Besides, washing diapers isn't heavy labor. Sister-in-law, how could you become so heartless? Su Xiaoyan's tears began to fall. I'm not heartless, I'm being reasonable, I said, looking at her. Su Xiaoyan, you're a mother now. It's time you learn to take responsibility. After saying that, I turned and entered my room, leaving the mother and daughter staring at each other in the courtyard. Chapter 10. The next morning, when I got up, I found Gu Taijun already busy in the kitchen. He was clumsily trying to start a fire to cook, his face covered in soot. What are you doing? I asked. Making breakfast. Gu Taijun looked up at me, the soot on his face making him look somewhat comical. I thought I'd try to share some of the household chores. I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect him to start taking action so quickly. Can you do it? I asked. Not really, but I can learn, Gu Taijun said somewhat awkwardly. Can you teach me? I thought for a moment and nodded. All right, for the next half hour, I taught Gu Taijun how to start a fire, how to cook porridge, and how to stir-fry dishes. Although he was clumsy, he learned very seriously. Cooking is actually not that easy, Gu Taijun said, wiping his sweat. I always thought it was simple before. Now you know. I looked at him. I've had to repeat these tasks every day for years, and I still get criticized by your mom. Gu Taijun's face flushed slightly. Yaya, I was immature back then. I didn't respond, focusing on watching him cook. Although the taste was average, it was at least edible. During breakfast, Wang Zuihua and Su Xiaoyan were both surprised to see the meal Gu Taijun had prepared. Taijun, how come you're cooking? Wang Zuihua asked. I'll help with some household chores from now on, Gu Taijun said. We can't always let Yaya do all the work alone. Wang Zuihua's expression changed, but she didn't say anything. Su Xiaoyan whispered beside her. Brother, my diapers haven't been washed yet. Gu Taijun looked at me, then at his sister. Then wash them yourself, or let Gu Jiangwo wash them. Gu Jiangwo is Su Xiaoyan's husband, a rather honest but also very lazy man. He doesn't know how to wash, Su Xiaoyan muttered. You can learn if you don't know how, Gu Taijun said. I'm learning to cook too. Su Xiaoyan was left speechless by her brother's words and could only return to her room unwillingly. After the meal, Gu Taijun took the initiative to clear the table. Although he moved slowly, his attitude was very earnest. Wang Zuihua watched from the side, her expression growing increasingly displeased. Tai-jun, you're a grown man. Why are you doing these things, Mom? These are just household chores. There's nothing wrong with everyone pitching in, said Gu Tai-jun, but Yaya is your wife. These things should be her responsibility. Wang Zuihua tried to persuade her son. Mom, Yaya is a person too, and she gets tired as well. Gu Tai-jun interrupted her. From now on, we'll all share the household duties. Wang Zuihua was left speechless by her son's words. I watched all of this from the side, a mix of complex emotions welling up in my heart. In my past life, I had longed to see such a scene. But now it felt somewhat ironic. If I hadn't been reborn, if I hadn't completely exploded, he would never have realized these problems. I'm going out for a while, I said to Gu Tai-jun. Where to? He asked. I have some business to take care of. I didn't elaborate. Actually, I was going to the county town. My experience selling goods in the neighboring village yesterday had shown me a business opportunity, and I wanted to go to the county town to stock up on some goods and expand my business. When I arrived at the county town, I went straight to the department store. The variety of goods here was much richer than at the village supply and marketing cooperative, and the prices were relatively cheaper. I carefully selected some items that are quite popular in rural areas: floral fabric, towels, enamelware, sewing kits, and so on. These items have a good market in the countryside. Comrade, are you buying so many things to open a shop? The salesperson asked curiously. No. I'm just buying them for someone else, I said casually. The salesperson nodded and didn't ask further. After shopping, I went to several other places in the county town to get a sense of the market conditions. I found that there is indeed a significant price difference between the county town and the rural areas, which gives me a lot of room to operate. By the time I returned to the village, it was already afternoon. I hid the goods at my parents' house, preparing to start a new round of sales tomorrow. When I got back to the Gu family's house, I noticed the courtyard was very quiet. Upon entering, I saw Gu Tai-jun helping Su Xiaoyan wash the diapers, while Wang Zuihua was holding the child nearby. Seeing me return, Gu Tai-jun said somewhat awkwardly. Xiaoyan said her hands hurt, so I helped her wash them. I looked at them and didn't say anything. Su Xiaoyan looked at me from the bed, a hint of triumph in her eyes. She thought that Gu Tai-jun washing the diapers for her meant my protest had been ineffective, but what she didn't know was that I no longer cared about these things. In my previous life, I had been angry because I felt it was unfair. Now that I have my own career, these trivial matters no longer affect my mood. Just let him wash them, I said calmly, but don't always trouble others in the future. Su Xiaoyan was taken aback by my reaction. She thought I would be angry, but she didn't expect me to be so calm. In the evening, Gu Tai-jun made dinner again. Although his cooking skills were still not great, he had improved quite a bit compared to the morning. Yaya, I was thinking today, should we move out and live on our own? Gu Tai-jun suddenly said during the meal. I was a bit surprised. You're willing to move out? I think we need some space of our own, Gu Tai-jun said. It's really not very convenient to always live with the family. Upon hearing this, Wang Zuihua immediately became unhappy. Tai-jun, why do you want to move out? You're living just fine here. Mom, we've been married for 3 years. It's time we had our own home, Gu Tai-jun insisted. But if you move out, who will take care of things at home? Wang Zuihua grew anxious. Xiaoyan is still in confinement after childbirth. Xiaoyan has her husband to take care of her, and you can also help, Gu Tai-jun said. We can't always rely on Yaya. I looked at Gu Tai-jun, a complex mix of emotions welling up inside me. He had finally said the words I wanted to hear, but why did I not feel happy? Moving out requires money. Do we have the means for that now? I asked. I've looked into it. Old Lee's family in the east end of the village has a room for rent, $5 a month, Gu Tai-jun said. I think we should consider it. $5 a month is indeed not cheap for an ordinary family, but for me now, it's not a problem. I agree. I nodded. Wang Zuihua grew anxious. Yaya, you can't move away. What will Xiaoyan and I do if you leave? You and Xiaoyan aren't children. You can take care of yourselves, I said calmly. Besides, we're not moving far. If anything happens, we can still help. But Wang Zuihua wanted to say something more, but was interrupted by Gu Tai-jun. Mom, it's settled. Gu Taijun said firmly. I'll go talk to Old Li tomorrow. Seeing her son's resolute attitude, Wang Zuihua knew it was useless to argue further and could only storm back to her room in frustration. Su Xiaoyan, who had been listening nearby, also looked displeased. Without me as a free nanny, her life would surely become much harder. Yaya, thank you for giving me a chance. Gu Taijun said earnestly, I will prove to you that I truly want to change. I looked at him, my heart filled with mixed emotions. Perhaps this man is really trying to change, but some wounds, once inflicted, are hard to heal. The pain from my past life, the betrayals, the despair, they are all deeply etched in my heart. In this life, I can give him a chance, but I won't place all my hopes on him again. I have my own path to walk and my own career to pursue, whether he can truly change or not. I will no longer devote everything to this family as I did in my past life. This time, I will live for myself. 3 months later, Gu Taijun and I moved into the new house at the east end of the village. It was a small courtyard, simple but truly our own home. Gu Taijun has indeed changed a lot over these 3 months. He has learned to cook, do laundry, tidy up the room, and has also learned to listen to my thoughts and respect my decisions. As for me, I used this time to build my own small business. By reselling some goods, I have accumulated a considerable amount of money, even more than Gu Tiejun's salary. After we moved out, Wang Zuihua and Su Xiaoyan have indeed been having a tough time. Without me as their free nanny, they have to do everything themselves and often complain about how exhausted they are. Sometimes they come to our new home for help, but I always politely refuse. My advice to them is always, do your own things yourself. Yaya, you've really changed. One night, Gu Taijun said to me while lying in bed. Yes, I've changed. I nodded. I've become more independent and more confident. I've changed too, Gu Taijun said. I've learned to cherish you more. I turned to look at him. Gu Taijun, let's start over. Okay, he nodded. This time, I will treat you well. I smiled, but my heart remained clear. In this life, no matter how he treats me, I will not lose myself as I did in my past life. I have my own career, I have my own dignity, I have my own bottom line. This is the greatest wealth that rebirth has given me. The end.